ليتس جو. ليتس جو. المنتصف طبعا. مصري. دي فور. مم. نلعب غلط زي اللي فاتت يعني بصراحة إن شاء الله. أيوة، قلبك جاي الهوا. وزير فور. عزيز وزيري. طاحش. ناكل طبعا بن. هو هيتنا بالحصان، هو كنا بالوزير طبعا بناكل بالحصان. ايزي خالص. حصان فايف. تحديدا. طلع جندي. طفي دلوقتي. طلع فين الأبيض. هنطلع. أبو حد من اتنين. لا حصان. الملك طبعا مش هيموت يعني. طبعا. حصاني. حصاني ده حصاني. يا ولا. يا ولا يا ولا يا ولا يا ولا. يلا تعالى. هياكلوا بالجندي أما دخل الحصان. لازم ياكلوا بالجندي. ما كلوش ده غبي. ها؟ حتى. طب يطلق. ما ادانيش الطبيعة، ما قصدي اداني الطبيعة. حبيبي. روحي انت حبيبي. الفيل ده لو جه هنا الطبيعي بتاعتي. ده لو يعني ما حركش الحصان. والله يا زين، والله 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 يا زين. دول يعني جندي يعني بسهولة أوي كده يعني. بسهولة. وتعالى. تعالى. وتعالى تعالى تعالى. وتعالى. هو انسحب. انسحب كالعادة. بحب السكر الزيادة. الرقعة دي بتاعتي إن شاء الله. كله صح. كله بالحصان. طلع جندي يحرم جندي. بيدك بيدك. ولا انت شقي. شقي وعجبتني عايزك تاكله. كده ده غبي. هو معرفش انا مين. بتقول له معرفش انا مين. أقطع لا بأمان. بأمان. الخباثة دي. يقول لك حركة خباثة. أنا جيت ست. وزير. ملك. سنة سنة سنة.
So if they see their opponent plays the Petrov, sometimes they will start with bishop 4, and if the opponent plays knight f6, then they go knight f3, and they get the Italian sidestepping the Petrov. So it's good to know. Bishop e7. This is the Russian defense. Instead of playing knight f6, 2 knights, or bishop to c5, which is the Italian, the Russian defense is mainly used by kids who continuously get crushed by a knight on g5 and a knight on f7. So when the trainer sees his kid getting crushed every day with that, they teach the kid to play the Russian defense, which is just put your bishop on e7, then play knight f6, and then castle, and you won't get crushed anymore. Of course, theory says that against the Russian defense, because you have to open up the game, and this is considered to be slightly better for white, because white has a bit more space, and e4 pawn against d6 pawn. Fedosiev thought a few minutes, he must know this for sure, and he went d3, which is not at all critical, and now Daniel can finish off his development. Okay, completely equal. Black has no trouble at all in this position. I will say I'm not totally sure if bishop to e6 is the correct move, and I would probably have castled where white plays h3 and g4 in these positions, and bishop to e3 and queen to d castle. So maybe Howard didn't want to castle too soon, just in case Fedosiev, who as you can all see is delaying his castling, wants to go for the attack. Yeah, that may be the reason why he played bishop to e6. Okay, so knight to d5 is the move played by Fedosiev. Good move. The knight is very strong here. We can follow up with c3, knock off the bishop pair, and if black captures with the bishop, obviously we take with the pawn, and the knight has to go back or forward. And this type of position isn't much, but it's always slightly easier to play with white, although it's not much at all. Knight to d7 and bishop to f6, and black does have 2 decent minor pieces, but white does have the bishop pair, so generally we can assume that white is slightly better. You can play b4 and bishop b2, and in some situations the d4 pawn could prove to be a weakness. Okay, so knight to d5, and Daniel is on the think. Let's move on to the next game. These are players with 5.5. Marcin Krasnovsky against Kirill Alexeyenko, and actually quite a similar position as the one we've just seen. Italian again. It's funny because the Italian is practically, I don't know if you realized, guys, but the Italian has practically substituted the Ruy Lopez. Years ago, the Ruy Lopez was the main line, but since everyone is playing the knight f6 Berlin defense against the Ruy Lopez, many players have turned to the Italian again. So it's all like a cycle. First the Italian, people get bored of it, go to the Ruy Lopez. Get bored of the Ruy Lopez, go back to the Italian. And so at some point, the Ruy Lopez will come back again. And then you get a lot of players playing c4 and d4 just to try and sidestep. I think there's more options of play in the d4 c4 lines. Knight c3, castle, bishop e3, and knight d5. It's actually very similar to the previous game. Yeah, a very slight advantage for white. Endlessly solid. The main difference with the other game is that here white doesn't have the
الله.
Two bishops out, queen e2, take, e5, okay.
اسكتي.
يا ماما.
During 130, he's playing all the theoretical moves. He's got his opponent thinking. Knight takes is bad because bishop takes queen, and then bishop takes rook is winning. So this would be bad.
لا
So his opponent found the correct move, which is bishop to b4, where bishop takes, queen takes would be okay. Bishop d2, take.
حط امك ولا قد
Bishop
نسخه
b7,
لازم اشوف حاجه تدور.
bishop b4. Now he wants to put the bishop on d6. And look, as you can see, all this has been played by Jordan practically without any thought. So it's clear he's playing his book lines, something he studied at home.
هتقول
It's called theoretical
نروح على
preparation.
بتاعها يتكسر
And,
والراحة أنا
already
فيه.
he's half an hour up on the clock. The position is slightly better for white, so you can't get better preparation than that. A slightly better position for white, and booked up, which is always very good. I've been asked to propose games for the beauty prize, and I seem to remember Forest had a beauty prize. I can't remember what game it was. Let me check. Let's find Forest. Which game did he win? Which is super nice. Was it the Cuenca game? No, I think it was the Aaron Jacobson game. The second round game. Let me check this for a moment. I think it was the second round game. So look, if I put Van Forest there, will it appear? 4 rounds. Jordan Van Forest. Machtel Van Forest. His sister is also here. Van Forest. Okay. See if it was Jordan Van Forest. Round 1. This one was also nice. Jacobson against Jordan Van Forest. That was also very nice. Also a very, very nice game. I'm going to send it to my group. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's progress. Sosa Warmidam against the Israeli Grandmaster. Which one was that? I had to propose to my team interesting games against the Israeli Grandmaster, against Gorstein. Warmerdam Gorstein. Board 6 on round 5. Let's check that one and see if it's worthy of a mention. Let's see. So it would be warmer them. Against Gorstein. Aha, this one here. Okay, let me remember this one. This one was very well played, but it's not really a beauty prize. It's more White played very badly this game, Harry. I think it's very well played by Warmer Dam, but you couldn't really put it in the category of a beauty prize. It's just well played by Black, taking advantage of all the mistakes by White. A good game, but not probably worthy of a beauty game. But if any of you guys remember any of the really nice games we've seen, tell me in the chat and I'll check them and propose them as well. Okay, so let's go back to the round we're in. And we are going to check on the Van Forest. We saw it already. On board 9. Whoa, this one's interesting. Let's see how this position was achieved. Okay, London. Wow, this looks like super theoretical. Black bringing out the bishop. In fianchetto, White is playing without thinking. Aravint spending no time at all, totally in theory. And this is very similar to a game played in my league tournament the other day between, what's his name, Marcel Claramunt and a guy called Lambert from Moyet. And he actually ended up nearly trapping the queen. But I think our player played badly. Okay, well, Aravint is playing all theory. I mean, he's on 133. Look, check that out. That's unbelievable. He's played with the increment. And they're already on move 16. So unbelievable preparation by Aravint. And of course, not only this line, but he has to have prepared many other sidelines that could appear. Of course, that does mean that Jakob Seeman is playing the theoretical moves, which should give him confidence when he knows he's playing the correct moves because his opponent plays very fast. So, yeah, White does have a pawn, but they're very weak, and Black does have active play and some weaknesses. So bishop to e6, maybe a rook in the center. So White will try and prove that his extra pawn is more important than Black's activity. We'll keep an eye on this game. Could prove to be interesting. Okay, board 10, Sokolovsky against Murzin. Murzin has done a lot of draws in this tournament. I think most of his games have been draws. He's got 1 win and 8 draws, something like that. Yeah, look, 3 wins and 4 draws. Okay, so he's doing well, but even with that score, he's losing 1 rating point. So it's not enough to draw all the games. When you have 2,600 plus, you need to win a few more. Okay, but it doesn't mean he's playing very solidly. Okay, he went for the Sicilian with Black, Najdorf, and classic variation, Queen d3. Never seen this one before in this position. Brings out the bishop behind and plays knight to d5. And when it's swapped off, plays c4, okay. Okay, this is leaving the square c5 for the knight, but it's theory. And queen to h3, interesting. Queen to h3. And when the knight gets to c5, he exchanges it. Puts the rook on e1. Okay, so I'm sensing something like bishop to c1 to protect the weakness, and bishop to d1, c2, and line up the bishops for a direct attack on the king side, possibly with the rook transfer by g3, or going for some f4. But the fact that he played rook to e1 suggests that if Black plays a rook to b8, attacking b2, he'll defend with bishop to c1. Let's see what happened here. Of course, Black goes for the exchange of queens, and White goes for the ending. So let's say Black had played rook to b8. Now, would bishop c1 be the move? Let's see, rook b8. Yeah. Here we could even sacrifice the pawn according to the computer. But bishop c3 is also very good. Protecting the bishop, protecting b4, protecting b2, and following up with bishop to d3 and f4. Yeah, this looks good for white. Very interesting. So it's understandable that black would want to exchange queens. Now, the computer actually doesn't exchange queens, but prefers to keep the queens on the board, even though we would be sacrificing the pawn on a4 and then go for the straight attack. So it seems to think that white will have a very strong attack for the pawn. But maybe white doesn't believe in that. So he exchanged queens and tries to prove that his pair of bishops is better. Okay, we do have two bishops here, but the position is very closed. Black can progress with f5. He has the extra file here. Yeah, I think it's probably equal. Maybe white is better, but if he's better, it can't be much because the position is so blocked that I can't really see a way of getting a clear advantage. I'd need a knight on c3, for example, to jump to b5 to be able to prove an advantage here. For example, f5, bishop c2, g6. How are we going to get an advantage here? If we play f4, he can go e4, and then bishop f6, and actually I'm worse. This would be a disastrous position, no? Something like this. Take with the rook or with the knight, doesn't really matter. Look at the bishop we've ended up with here. This would be very bad. So yeah, actually this would be probably lost because black would double rooks on the b file, take the knight to b, or maybe sacrifice the exchange. Maybe you could draw here, but there's no way white will win in this type of position. So you could easily go wrong. White play bishop to d1. I think he probably should have maintained the queens on the board and play for the attack with f4. Okay. That was board 10. Let's go to board 11, where Milo's Spar, or Zar, or Par, Zbar, not sure how to pronounce that surname, from Poland is playing against Kartik Venkataraman. Okay. Louis Lopez, Arkaranch variation. Here, most players play with c3 and d4, but knight c3 is also interesting to play for a quick knight to d5. h6, c3, rook b8 seems to be a small mistake. Not sure why. And here, it seems that white has missed an opportunity. Let's see. I don't know the theory on this position, but the computer suggests a very strange line to me. Exchanging pawns and bishop to e3. The computer claims that white's better here. It's difficult to see where the advantage is, but let's move forward a bit. Maybe to place the bishop on d5 and try and press this knight, which at the same time protects the pawn on e5. This could be slightly advantageous for black, but I think with good defense, black should be holding. Anyway, white played bishop to e3 straight away. Now he could be threatening pawn takes pawn. So black took. And here white is spending some time. He has to decide between pawn takes pawn or to capture on f6 first and then recapture with the pawn. So we'll leave him to it, what he's thinking. One hour in and still no draws on the first boards. It's funny. Okay, so on board 12, Tong Chao, this Chinese player with no title, is playing against Cuban Grandmaster 2600 Carlos Daniel Albornoz Cabrera. Rook G1, this G4 idea. Black gets in D5 just in time. Exchange off everything, and we go to an ending. And again, this H5, always trying to get a good structure. Pawn takes pawn, rook takes pawn, leaves black with white. Leaves white with dark squared weak pawns, whereas G5 will leave eventually the white squares for the black's king. So this H5 is always a very good strategic maneuver. Okay, even though G5 is probably not the best, it's probably the move we have to do here anyway. And then maybe open up the position with F4, swap off a rook. There's no danger for white if he plays approximately okay in this position. The position is balanced. That was board 12. Board 13, Pranav against Guillaume Lamart. So this looks like a King's Indian attack, but a bit weird. Let's check it. Yeah, it's King's Indian attack, clearly. This is theoretical. And here normally black goes B5. Oh, H6, this is something I don't know. Normally you don't touch the pawns on the queen side. It looks like a tempo. We're spending a tempo to do something. Does the computer suggest this move at the same level as B5, which is a theoretical suggestion? I played this many times with white and black. But the computer does say H6 is possible. And now B6 instead of B5. H4, and now we're getting the knight to G4. Ah, F6, okay. So this is the idea. We play H6, we play B6, we don't weaken our position, and as soon as white plays H4, if he plays H4, then we stick in F6. Pawn is under fire, so we have to take. And now we can argue that although E6 is weak, it is defended by the bishop, and at some point we might get access to the square G4 with our knight. This is risky. I don't completely trust this position for black. Very risky. Too many weaknesses on the king's side. The computer might hold this position, but I think it's not a good position to play with white. With black, sorry. Knight to G4. Already a mistake, according to the computer. C3. Rook takes F4. Wow. Sacrificing the exchange. Wow. Was this forced? Computer doesn't like this much. No, I don't like this at all. I don't see any confrontation here. The knight is coming to G3. I'm swapping off the knight here. If he takes here, what do? We take, and we play queen to F3 and queen to G3. I don't see much compensation here for the exchange. Okay, one pawn and a weak F pawns. But is that enough? Okay, we can play the position. Definitely it's a playable position, but maybe it's not an aggressive exchange sacrifice. More likely, black sees that the knight is coming to E3 and that his strategy hasn't worked well, and then decides to do something spectacular to create something to try and make something happen. Who knows what's in Lamart's mind? Okay, so we've checked on most of the games. That was game 13. Game 14 with the Kid Mamedov. He has a decent position here with black. Game 15, Diego Macias, who, remember, he has to try and win to score the Grandmaster norm. And Tomas playing the Italian, which his course deals with that. So he spent a lot of time studying the Italian defense for his course. Renier on board 16 with Gorstein. This looks quite an interesting game. We'll keep an eye on this one. Zuzina with Raja. Also an interesting position. Kurmangalieva bringing everything to the board against Rowan Vogel, well prepared by her Kazakhstan trainers. Julian Adimendi always playing his lovely closed positions. And Pichot on board 20 with also an interesting position. Okay, so we've set the board for all the interesting games. Let me check if there's any other norm-seeking games being broadcasted. Yeah, not much else being broadcasted. Okay, so we've set the stage for the round. We've So things are looking good for Diego. Yeah. Of course, it's still early days. And other
we're checking this game. Board number 4.
And other, this one's we saw before, Alexienko. Board number 5 is also quite important for Spanish fans because Chigaev is playing Yermito. Chigaev, did you see what happened this morning to Chigaev?
No.
Okay, let me show this to you because this is quite interesting. So Chigaev, I'm going to choose the game here.